Drew, you've been here at the Cow Palace for like 10 minutes. I've never seen you like this. You are so excited to be back here. What's this like?
Honestly, Brodie, this started the best time of my life.
Being here?
Being here.
Back in the day?
Yeah, 29 years old.
Yeah.
Assistant coach, video coach. There are so many great memories. We didn't win a lot of games here, but there's so many great memories because what you remember are all the people. I remember how, first off, our very first night, how we had people in the stands watching our very first skate.
Right.
It was in the evening. And when the Zamboni came out, they cheered.
Because it was a Zamboni.
Because it was a Zamboni.
They'd never seen a Zamboni
I guess,
before.
I don't know. And then I look, I remember I pointed you up there, and we'll go through it, obviously, but,
Yeah.
The weight room / press room, press box, I should say.
In the same place?
In the same place.
Weight
like
room
right
and
over
press
there.
room.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And then, our benches are in their dressing room upstairs. There's so many great memories here. There's a lot of memories where, you felt like breaking things after a game.
Yeah.
I remember Pittsburgh beating us 8-0 once, and I can still see the goals, but
Yeah. It was hard times here because
Yeah.
the Sharks were brand new. The way expansion worked back then was not like
No.
it is today. Was there a point where players came in and you said, "Hi, I'm Drew Remenda. I'll be your assistant coach"?
Yeah.
It was literally like
was
meeting
literally
people
that.
on the fly.
Yeah, literally that. I came from University of Calgary, Hockey Canada. And that's where I met George Kingston, their head coach, first head coach, Bob Murdoch. Wonderful, wonderful guys. I couldn't have asked to go through a time like that in my life when I was so young and dumb and immature that I had those two wonderful, wonderful people help guide me along the way. But yeah, I remember the first skate we had.
Yeah.
George made everybody, the players, on the ice.
Shake hands?
Shake hands. Hi, I'm so-and-so. Hi, I'm so-and-so. Hi, I'm so-and-so. Hi,
Wow.
Yeah. And
We've got that footage somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that footage for this.
And yeah, you did. You had to. And now I look back and I think Dean Evison, Mike Sullivan, Doug Wilson, Rob Zettler, Davey Williams. I think about Jeff Hackett, all those guys, and it brings back a flood of nothing but great memories.
Did you have to accustom yourself to this building a little bit? It was old back then. It was not built for hockey. Let's be honest about
Yeah.
that. It literally is a cow palace.
Yeah.
When you came here for the first time and when other teams came in, were they like, where are we right now? We're not in San Jose. That didn't even exist yet.
No.
Was there a lot of acclimating to what this was?
For the guys, yeah, because they came from other NHL teams,
Yeah.
right? For me, I worked where Hockey Canada was located in Calgary. It was in the Saddle Dome. Saddle Dome at that time was a little newer. But I came here going, oh, okay, this National Hockey League. And
Yeah.
back then, there's the old Boston Garden, there
Right.
was the old Chicago Stadium,
Right.
there was the old Checker Dome in St. Louis.
Those were old buildings, but they had history.
Right.
This one had a different history.
Yeah.
And a different smell, too.
Well,
by the way.
I was going to say, that was kind of the first thing you ever got used to. You'd walk in and you'd like, we had to go on a 9-game road trip once because they had the livestock shows. They had livestock shows, gun shows, and boat shows. that was what it was.
And smoke shows when you were here. Never mind.
Thank you very much.
It's amazing because what we know about the Sharks now,
Yeah.
the tank and San Jose and how culture of the South Bay have totally embraced the Sharks. We didn't even know any of that yet. It didn't exist when the Sharks were here. I mean, it's almost hard to remember that this was such a small capsule of time that it existed way before what everybody knows now. And do you feel lucky to have seen it from the inside, not even as a broadcaster?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were the assistant coach back then. You got to see something from its birth.
Yeah.
You were probably here when Sharky was born, right
I
out
was
there.
here. I was here when Sharky was
Fell
born.
out of the
Came
Zamboni.
Came out of the Zamboni, and the second year he came from the roof. And this is where the Chomp was born.
That's amazing.
This is
on
where
the
this,
power play.
on
You
the
do
power
that.
play.
Yeah.
And it started over here in section 25, and it started, and
That's unreal.
Yeah, I do remember the Chomp being born, and it was totally organic. I am honored that I've been able to be a part of this organization for
Yeah.
as long as I have. But one of the best parts of it were the first 2 years. And I know the wins and losses were quite lopsided in the L category.
Yeah.
But the one thing about when you start to get a lot older now, you look back at the people. And we had such great people, not just the guys on the team or the coaches or the trainers or everybody. It was everybody else. It was the people that worked their tails off. There was a real great feeling of, yeah, we're all just trying to figure out our way. We're going to do it together. And that was the great thing about being here on the ground floor, especially in this building.
Yeah. There's two more things I got to know.
Yeah.
When it happened for the first time, when there was the first game here, not even the first practice, but when people came in and it was for real, and you'd already played a road game by that point, but
Vancouver.
Were there some nerves, as in like, I'm not sure this is actually going to happen, or did it seem like it was all under control back then?
It really seemed like it was actually under control back then.
Okay.
Not what was happening on the ice. We were totally out of control.
Figuring it out, yeah.
But it seemed like, well, for me, because again, I was
You were on the inside.
I was the inside,
yeah.
but also it was also because of the people that were in charge. Jack Farrar, Dean Lombardi, George and Bob.
Yeah.
It seemed like
It wasn't chaotic, maybe?
they had it figured out.
Yeah.
Well, chaotic didn't start until our first road trip, and that's a longer story. We don't have time for it, but just suffice it to say, things didn't start to go sideways until we got on that first plane to head to Hartford.
There you go.
I'll tell you that story one of these days.
We'll save that for another episode. Okay, so the last thing is we're about to do a little walking tour here, and we've probably already seen some of the video interspersed throughout this feature, but what are the things, and I imagine the stairway up to the dressing room has got to be one. Yeah. I heard there's a satellite dish that we need to go see.
We need to go see where it was and
Okay.
how I used to get out there and where my office was, and you have you have to see that because it wasn't like today where you just flipped the channel.
Yeah, no, it was, you actually
Crank the satellite.
point the dish.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and it's not like everything was on TV back then. And then there's a spot just over there, Brodie, on section 18,
Okay.
where I had we did video back then, and I had this big camera. It was probably about, I don't know, back then probably about 10 pounds. I mean, it was a big camera, and we'd set it up, and at times we would record practice.
Right.
And it's a ladder that goes up there. Okay. And as I was coming down, because we didn't leave it up there, as I was coming down with it, I missed a step and I fell from there right down to the
geez.
right down to the.
So you want to go
seats.
reenact that?
We're not. I'll just show you how far it was. And back then, I bounced up like I was nothing because
Right.
I was a real man back then. Now I'm just this old frail person that I am. But you know what? Didn't crack the camera. That was the key.
Save the equipment. Drew, I appreciate you for coming here today. It was a long drive for all of us, but the memories of being back and what we're about to see here, this is awesome. Thank you for doing this.
Okay, but I'm glad we're doing it.